Today is December the 6th. Why did they pierce Jesus' side? Well, let's read the passage that tells us that they did. That's found in John 19. We'll read 31 to 37. Since it was the day of preparation, the Jews didn't want the bodies left on the cross during the Sabbath, especially because that Sabbath was a day of great solemnity. So they asked Pilate to have the legs of the crucified men broken and the bodies removed. Then the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first and the other who had been crucified with him. But when they came to Jesus, they saw that he was already dead. So they didn't break his legs. Instead, one of the soldiers pierced his side with the spear. At once, blood and water came out. You saw this has testified, so that you also may believe. His testimony is true. He knows that he tells the truth, so that you may continue to believe. These things occurred so that the scripture might be fulfilled. None of his bones shall be broken. And again, another passage of scripture says, they'll look on the one whom they have pierced. Why did they break the legs of the other two? Well, it has to do with the nature of crucifixion. Crucifixion was intended to be a long, agonizing death. Within the first several hours, having your arms and your feet immobilized causes your entire body to go into cramps, and the agony that takes place begins to take place as edema from the wounds on your hands begins to come down your arms and collect in your lungs. When that happens, the autonomic function of the body begins to fail. Automatically breathing stops. You begin to have to breathe intentionally. First, you can do it by expanding your thoracic cavity, but soon even that is difficult as edema fills your lungs. At that point, you have to push with your legs and pull with your arms to expand your chest cavity and take air into your lungs. By breaking the legs, you hasten death, because you can only then pull with your arms. They broke the legs of the two with Jesus, but when they came to Jesus, they saw that he was already dead. So to confirm that, they pierced his side. Out of the wound, blood and water flowed. Blood, because his body had been pierced. Water, because apparently they punctured a lung, and the edema collecting in his lung flowed out. He was pierced. One of the scriptures that's mentioned here is again from Psalm 2, none of his bones will be broken, but also Zechariah 12, he will be pierced. Let's read Zechariah 12, 10 to 13, 1.
Zechariah 12, verses 10 through 14, and Zechariah 13, verse 1, New Revised Standard Edition. And I will pour out a spirit of compassion and supplication on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so that when they look on whom they have pierced, they shall mourn for him, as one mourns for an only child, and weep bitterly over him, as one weeps over a firstborn. On that day the mourning in Jerusalem will be as great as the mourning for Hadad Rimmon in the plain of Megiddo. The land shall mourn, each family by itself, the family of the house of David by itself, and their wives by themselves, the family of the house of Nathan by itself, and their wives by themselves, the family of the house of Levi by itself, and their wives by themselves, the family of the Shimeites by itself, and their wives by themselves, and all the families that are left, each by itself, and their wives by themselves. Zechariah 13. On that day a foundation shall be opened for the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, to cleanse them from sin and impurity.
There in the scripture, Zechariah prophesies the piercing. Also, in the very next chapter, he says that there will be a well opened to cleanse Israel from their sin. Jesus was pierced for us. His blood cleanses us from sin. So what do we do about this today? Accept his cleansing. Scripture reading from the New Revised Standard Version by Emily Herrera. If you live in the Greenwood, Indiana area and you're looking for a church, come visit New Hope Church. We're at 5307 West Fairview Road. Our Sunday morning service begins at 10 a.m. I'd love to see you there.